happened Saturday is a personal matter at this point. You know, obviously, you know, being around this league long enough, I know that, you know, my first concern always is my kids and their health, happiness, and safety. You know, but outside of that, I'm here to focus on basketball. We're going to let the process take place and just focus on playing right now.
Was there a confrontation? Did you go over to the house, 95 miles away drive?
Like right now, we need to focus on basketball. All the real details will come out at some point, but at this time, you know, we're focusing on basketball.
What's your relationship with Fisher?
We were friends. We were good friends at one point.
Are you good friends now?
We were good friends at one point.
So that was Matt Barnes responding for the first time since the news came out about an altercation between Barnes and Knicks coach Derek Fisher. He didn't stop there, telling our Ramona Shelburne, "I can't believe people think I was some maniac driving 95 miles and listening to Tupac to go beat somebody up. No, I live 15 minutes away and I was going over to check on my kids because they seemed uncomfortable. That was my main reason for going over there." Skip, I loved how both of you dealt with this issue yesterday, but with this new information, does this change your opinion on this subject?
Molly, it slightly modifies my position to think that Derek Fisher looks even a little worse than he did from what I knew a day ago. And obviously, as I said yesterday, I don't want to get into tabloid details here. Some of this is he said, that he said, that he said. Fine. But we got to see Matt Barnes on camera, and obviously he was speaking from his heart about his kids. And I can only now repeat even more strongly what I said yesterday. Derek Fisher obviously is no longer a player. He's 2 years removed from being a longtime player in this league. But he has to continue to remind himself he is now a face of New York's NBA franchise, a once storied franchise, the New York Knicks. And he has to realize that he now has a newfound, much greater responsibility to his franchise and to the league in general, that he has to be careful and wary of and concerned about not being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe as a player, he could be slightly more risky, but in this case, he is the authority figure of a struggling basketball team. And he doesn't want to lose any of that authority or respect in his own locker room by just simply being someplace that wasn't the best idea for the head coach of the Knicks to be in. So, again, as I said yesterday, he left training camp on a day off to fly coast to coast to Los Angeles, saying, I need to go see my kids. Now Matt Barnes' kids have come into play, and we know the rest of the story. I don't want to dwell on it. But Derek Fisher couldn't even get back in time for the next day of New York Knicks training camp. Whether he had a travel snafu or what happened, I don't know. But he was even a day late coming back. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Just can't do it. I know Derek Fisher knows this. It's a lesson to be learned for him. I like Derek Fisher. Covered him for a lot of different games as a player, different places. And I do respect him. And yet, big lesson learned here, and I'm pretty sure Stephen A. agrees with me on this one, Molly.
Yeah, Skip, and Stephen, Stephen A., go ahead, I'm sorry.
You know, I alluded to it yesterday, Skip, because you know I didn't want to touch this. And then Matt Barnes came out and not only said what he said on camera, but he said what I had alluded to yesterday morning, because obviously I had heard about it, and he confirmed it to Ramona Shelburne, our very own Ramona Shelburne. His kid called him. His kid was upset. Remember I said yesterday that it involves kids. And the reason why we have to discuss it today, because we have to say something a bit more emphatically, which is exactly where I did not want to go. And that is this. Derek Fisher looks very bad. I've known Derek Fisher for years. You like him. I'm incredibly fond of him. Very professional. Tries to handle his business. We know that he's won several championships as a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. You simply can't condone how he found himself in this situation. And let's take this and dissect it and just leave it at that. Supposedly there was a party at his estranged wife's house. Well, if there's a party, there's several people around. If there is several people around, why is Matt Barnes saying that his son is on the couch with his face down and he's asking his son what's wrong? Because the son doesn't seem to be himself. Matt Barnes picks up on that. If it's just people around, why would that bother the child? Evidently, the child saw something that he wasn't comfortable seeing, whatever that is. And my point is that if you are Derek Fisher, how do you find yourself in that situation? Especially when Matt Barnes emphasizes thereafter, we were friends. Not just teammates, friends. We've been around each other a lot. And on SportsCenter yesterday with Lindsey Hunter and Jalen Rose, who, like me, didn't want to touch this. You're showing video and footage of them embracing, hugging, befriending one another. I know for a fact there were many times in the past where Matt Barnes spoke to me personally and felt that Derek Fisher was a friend. So again, it's not just the fact that you were the head coach. It's not just the fact that you were a player and a former teammate. You also friends. And when you cross that line, as my man Jalen Rose said on SportsCenter yesterday, let's be clear. It doesn't have to be written. There are certain lines you don't cross. And estranged or not, when the word wife and the word children are attached to something, that's usually code for hands off. And the fact that Derek Fisher finds himself in this situation, it's indefensible. It's indefensible.
Agree with all three of you there, Jalen, Skip, and Stephen A. Thank you for your comments on that subject. Moving on, though, it's a Big Ten clash. Undefeated Northwestern versus 4-1 Michigan. Are the Wolverines for real? That debate's coming up. Keep it here, people.
You're not getting it. I'm going to give it to you free, okay? A Super Bowl! Who? America's eyes on me right now.
I believe
what?
that.
That makes my point.